So today I am joined by Graeme Allan. Graeme's the Chief Exec of leading accountancy firm Anderson Brown. Thanks for joining me today, Graeme.
No problem, Kirsty, glad to.
Well, you must have seen some changes in your time at Anderson Brown, because I think you've been there, has it been 13 years?
It is just a month over my 13th, lucky 13 as this year turns out to be.
How does this last month compare to your other 13 years?
Well, just at the start of this month, I changed from being the managing partner of the firm to chief exec of the group. So it's been a very interesting start to that new role as chief executive across the Anderson and Brown group, shall we say?
I bet it has. So tell us how how's the crisis affected you?
On a personal level, Kirsty, it's something that none of us have experienced before. So we're all approaching this from the same perspective of nobody really knows. And for me personally, not being able to see in exactly what the future looks like is quite a challenge. I find it quite difficult to deal with that. But for the most part, it's all been about the business resilience and the planning for the business that's been going on in the last 5-6 weeks since we saw this beginning to develop. From a business perspective, it's all been around doing the things that we're telling our clients to do, looking at our own business, seeing how we can reshape that, trying to communicate across the staff and the clients to give them the reassurance that they're looking for from the leaders of the business, and actually develop some outcomes from the scenarios that have presented themselves to demonstrate that we are doing what we're advising clients to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what would you say is keeping you awake at the moment?
It very much is the unknown. Nobody knows what this is going to look like. It's very difficult to get your head into a space for planning when you don't know what it looks like. And I'm not a person who stays, who is kept awake by much, as my wife will testify to. But I definitely think I've woken up early a few mornings thinking about the longer term and what it might look like coming out the other side. And that's something that for the first few weeks of the crisis, as it was beginning to unfold, I definitely wasn't in a place that I could even begin to think about that. There were 14-hour days, like most business owners and leaders will recognise, trying to just stand still with the volume of information that was coming at us as it began to take hold, and then probably getting to a point where recognising that there has to be a plan beyond what the crisis management is, became a release a little bit for me in terms of having to understand that we need to get started on that plan now, as to the next month or two, the next 3 months, 6 months, certainly 12 months, and probably beyond that out into the next couple of years, because this is going to be we're going to be taking a long time to come out of this. Mm-hmm. So being awake at night has definitely, or early in the morning as it has definitely been around some of these challenges as things come into your head.
Mm-hmm. And out of interest, how are you doing that planning for the unknown?
Well, very much with a team, a very small team in that plan ahead space. All really looking at building it from, where did we start off? What was the position that the firm was in when we went into the current crisis? So what's the starting point for that? And then building out the very immediate things that might happen, and trying to build an action plan around what might happen, so that depending on the severity of what does happen when you use the data that you've got available to you, depends on what actions you need to take. But those plans are already in place, they've already been thought about, and you just build that plan out for the longer and longer term, accepting that making good decisions quickly isn't always possible. Making quick decisions will be better than not making decisions at all. and really building a whole structure around what the next couple of years might look like, and updating that all the time as we go. But not being involved in that myself, letting a team of people very close to me begin that work, so that I can stand back from it and assess what they come up with, and be the challenge for that.
Brilliant. So, and what do you think has been your biggest learn since this outbreak?
Well, the best thing, I'm not sure it's the biggest I've learned from the outbreak, but certainly the best thing that I've come across. I've spent a lot of times in the last 3 weeks in the teams, Kirsty, really from the very junior teams that we have in the trainee sense, all the way through into the senior leadership. And all through those, I've seen a reflection of the hard work that people have put into understanding what we were calling Firm of the Future. And that was an agile and digital program that's been running here for the last 18 months. And it is absolutely fantastic to see the stand-ups with the accountability that goes right through from the top of the firm down to our trainees, and them understanding what that was all about. And that allowed us to transition from working in the office predominantly to working at home at almost full capacity very, very quickly. And that was a phenomenal experience when I realised that was going to come together the way it did.
Brilliant. It's nice to get some positive experiences out of this, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Absolutely, you have to take all of the positives that you can get at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So if I was to ask you to look into your crystal ball, what do you think will be different in the business world once we've come through this?
Absolutely everything. Everything is going to be different. We're going to come out the other side of this, and the world has just changed almost overnight, it feels like. So I think what I'm trying to do is gather those thoughts or reflections, if you like, that I don't want to forget about when we get back to something that the next normal looks like. And I'm not even sure I know what the next normal is yet, but I'm trying to note down things that really shouldn't change when we go back, or things that we must do differently. But I don't think business will be recognisable in the same way as it was before we went into this. But what we do need to do is be ready to come out the other side, and try our hardest to get back up and running as quickly as possible in terms of growth for the economy, and that's going to be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it will be a challenge. So what piece of wisdom or words of positivity would you like to share with other business leaders today?
Oh, I'm not sure I'm feeling very wise at the moment. I seem to be reacting to a lot of things. I think probably the best bit of advice, or the thing that made a difference for me, was realizing that it didn't matter that I couldn't see the top of the hill. Never mind get all my people to the top of it, but I do need to move the business on, so that we are thinking about what the future looks like. Because if we're not thinking about that now, we will not be ready when the next normal becomes more visible to us.
Mm-hmm. That's a great thing to end on. Thank you so much for your time today. Really nice speaking to you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you too. Thanks, Kirsty.
Thanks, Graeme.